Well, my childhood wasn't any different from all the people that I grew up with. My family was from Naples, but I grew up in Rome because they moved here. I was born in 1987, so growing up in the 90s was a little 1.0 kind of thing, we could say. While anything significant happened, musically speaking, I was in love with music since I was a kid. First memory that I have about it was spending hours in the garden, a summer place that we were going, and listening to the people playing tunes on the jukebox. Back in the 90s, no streaming platforms, either radio or something like that. And obviously the access that we had to the music was very, very little, mainstream kind of thing. I remember a lot of pop music. The first records that I bought with my parents, obviously, was Blood on the Dance Floor from Michael Jackson and Beer Now, Oasis, because I loved them. It was later on, with the help of my brother, that actually was sort of a Bible. He made me and himself a big music, he made a music culture for ourselves. Even still today, he has a lot of CDs from back in those days. And he started to introduce me to more alternative music. We're talking about rock, heavy metal. We were a lot into that, and punk. I remember we were spending long time, instead of doing homeworks, listening to stuff on MTV. It was the only channel that was airing music and streaming videos. Waiting late night to listen to something like Smack My Bitch Up from The Prodigy. So basically this was the childhood. And then on the other hand, I say I was a music lover because even from when I was 4 or 5, I wanted to put my hands in it. And while normally kids are craving for toys, I was too, but I was asking to have a piano. I remember my grandma had a acoustic guitar from Eco, and I was a bit afraid of it because the guitar, and you touch the chords, and very painful, especially if you have your little fingers as a kid. So I didn't want to do that. Then I changed my mind later on when I was 13, and I went into playing guitar. But I started with the piano, trying to replicate melodies. I didn't know anything about music, didn't know anything about notes and scales and all of that. I remember a family friend told me something about it, and then was just using my ears. Then later on, I switched to guitar because our passion for alternative rock music went from heavy metal to punk rock music, and we had tons of CDs like Punkorama and all the stuff from NoFX, Rancid, Pennywise, and early Green Day in the 90s, like Dookie album and all of that.
Mother, can you hear me whining? It's been 3 whole weeks since that I have left your home.
I decided at some point I had to make that music because I loved it so much. And we started to, both me and my brother, to learn how to play guitar. I was probably more towards getting something out of it. I mean, not only playing for myself and trying to replicate, but then going somewhere. And in fact, I started our first punk band with a friend of mine that we were doing covers at his own place that I remember as it was yesterday. Having tea and playing Red Hot Chili Peppers, a little bit softer stuff.
Can I get your hand to ride on? Just a piece of leg to bite on. What a night to fly my kite on. Do you wanna flash a light on? Take a look, it's on display.
I wanted to make to put up a band. And then I involved my brother, and we made this punk band. We were doing good, making some concerts in the city, high school kind of thing. We were having fun. Then obviously, teenage years, they go fast. So when we switched to the proper high school, the bassist, the guy that I was making Red Hot Chili Peppers covers with at the very beginning, he had to leave for another, like he went to Norway to study because he was very good, like a very good student. And the band, after like some years, you know, what happened when you're like doing something, then all of a sudden you don't have it anymore. And then we were saying, okay, baby, well, we will give it a try later on, but then you pause and it's fine. To me, it's normal that you quit something, recover, start back. But we didn't. We didn't, like, at least not with the punk rock music. To me, it was the turning point that I was, after listening to The Prodigy and that kind of alternative electronic music, I listened to some other stuff, but I never thought that I could do something like that. Then we had that pause, and parallel way, I went to my first rave party. I was like 14 15 years old. And I saw people playing with groove boxes and stuff, and I didn't know what that was. I didn't know anything about that, not even like nothing. And I say, well, maybe I have to try, but I didn't know how. I really didn't know what to do with that. I mean, I like it, but I don't know what this music is. I didn't know anything about it. So tried to gather information, but still, it was still like early 2000. No connect, like 56K connection. Early forum, no Facebook, no Instagram, no nothing. Not even Google, I remember when I started to find information. So it wasn't easy. But then obviously time passed and I had the chance to get to, well, first, I don't remember exactly, but first, I think, still with my brother, we started to make music on Music 2000 on PlayStation. Then I downloaded on our crappy PC some like kind of sequencer. It was called Hammered, playing like drums, basically, on that one. But still, like, it was the first approach to a step sequencer, so making music, like writing the kick, writing the snares, all of that. Then I realized I could get into these groove boxes because a friend of mine said, oh, if you want to do the real stuff, you have to buy some like drum machines or synthesizers. And so I didn't have any money. I was completely out of it. But I discovered was a place into the city that I could go, and I really exploited that little room. They kicked me out at some point. So, like, you're coming here every single day, making like a party inside the place, and you can't do that. If you want it, you buy it, but I didn't have the money. So later on, my parents helped me, bought me like the first rhythmic synthesizer. Then a friend of mine was kind enough to gift me a Korg Electribe, the SX sampler. Well, there's a famous video of me playing at a rave party. That process was like, it was parallel, you know, like trying to make that music, and in a way, like, on the other hand, discovering what it was. And it was crazy to me that was like 2002, 2003, and like going forward, that I was listening to people that then a few years later I was in touch with. You know, you didn't have any way to contact people like as we can do it today. So I sent emails, like I was applying for a job. It was crazy, but they replied me. I don't exactly know who first, but I remember being in touch with Newt from Heretic, Nico from Astrophonic, Fred Ballaras, that was a friend of him. And I gotta say thanks a lot, actually. Probably I never did it, you know, those things that you give it for granted, but it's not. I have to thanks a lot Newt from Heretic, because he helped me a lot to make the process then from the groove boxes back to in the box production. Start like introducing me to Renoise that I currently use, telling me a little bit how to make it like a proper record compared to what I was doing, that it was just like making a lot of noise, good noise, but on the Electribes. If I have to get back, because we're going a little bit backwards here, that music I talked about, the first raves, I remember going to a friend of mine place, and his sister left a cassette to the radio. We pressed play, and like I was overwhelmed, like I have to do this. That record, that cassette, I don't have it, I guess, but it was a Circus Salian mixtape. The first track was something from Mud Weasel. So later on, I had samples that gnawed past me from Mud Weasel to make a record that was The Way You Are Living. Actually, just a kick, because I put like I went on with a very, very hard kick, and it said me like try to replace it with this kick that is from Mad Weasel, and it's very dry and probably better. And that's the one that is pressed on the records, actually. While on like on YouTube, you have the one that I made first. I love them both, but this is just to say, like, it was crazy to me that I was listening to something, and like 5 years later, I was making music with sounds from people that I was listening, you know. That period looked short, but at the same time, very long. To try to understand how to make music, it wasn't easy, especially the techno kind of thing, because it wasn't easy to get people to do the rave parties and organize. Luckily, we had this forum, these plays online before the social media kind of era. A girl that I met like introduced me to Fabio Shockraver, and then from there I met some other people to make parties up in the north and then here in Rome. And when I started to send those emails and tried to get to make a record, it was because I felt that I had to do a little, like a step forward. From there, yeah, it was a hell of a ride. Many years passed making rave parties and club nights. Then I was working as a agent, like for booking artists from like different type of events in Rome. And so that's when I realized, you know, like when you're into like an alternative kind of vibe, we were like saying, oh, well, I'm not putting my hands on house or electro, that stuff is just too commercial. I don't want to have anything with it. I remember a good friend of mine say, yeah, well, that is commercial. What we have to do with that? We like the techno and the straight bass, pretty fast. That's the underground. That's what we are. That's for sure. But then I realized that I could do that, and I wanted to do that. So I started. I make like the old fat, so. It was a very it's a lot of satisfaction making tunes and then top DJs and radio plays. It was a very nice ride. And that helped me to realize what I wanted to do. That was already my job. I was going around playing music, collecting some money out of it. And most of the time I were investing, buying gears and stuff. It's nothing that I was like, but I was 25, something like that. So I didn't really think about the future. But then I stopped and I say, like, I want to make a career out of this thing. Can I make a career out of this thing? Because that was the thing, like, gotta be honest, like, can I make it? Am I wealthy enough to survive something like this? I mean, because it's not easy. And the answer was no. So I decided to go sideways, make two separate things. Passion is passion, work is work. And one thing that really makes me mad a lot of times, people think, oh, well, yeah, you're doing it's just your passion. Nope, it's not like that. Because it is my passion, I'm doing even better than if it was my job, because I'm not chasing anything. I'm just making music because I love to do that. And I gotta say, even having it as a passion, at some point I say, yeah, but I don't have enough time because I need to work. And I had to work a lot. So at a certain point I stopped. That it's not I quit. A lot of time, I've been asked, yeah, well, you stop, you quit, you're not making. No, it's just I don't have enough time, you know. So I can't dedicate myself to that. But when I will have enough time and energy to do that, I will. And that's what I'm doing right now, you know, take a big break, trying to organize my thoughts, and I say, yeah, well, I can do it. I can start back. My first love and only love is it's the techno kind of things, because I really find myself comfortable in making it. I really express myself at the best that I can, I guess. There's a lot of things that satisfy me while I'm doing that. And that's the main reason why I started back now. It's a fresh start with ADAT project. I wanted to give something to the people. You know, it's all about that. You make music, you make it for yourself. Then the second thing is like having some good friends that knows, they must know what they're talking about. So pick your friends that give you some feedbacks, but then obviously share with the people and having something back. I mean, having people happy. I have people that I know since many years now that every now and then they write me things and say like, oh, when you're coming back, oh, I'm listening again, that tune, it rocks, it made my that period for me very good. That is very satisfying. I mean, because you don't even think when you're like making that, you're making music just because you're having fun and you want to do something. But then changing people, even changing like just one single person mood. It's an achievement, I would say. Then that really gives you, like the feeling to go forward and continue to do things. The first person that changed the mood is actually myself. I've got to say, because I like to stay there in a bit of a jig, twisting stuff. I didn't know when I was a kid, but that is really something. Making sounds it's a passion. That's it. I hope you will enjoy the stuff that is coming out. Thanks to all the people home that are following and listening, and see you around, guys.